Hello everyone, Ron Johnson here from L.T.L Tutoring Central. And if you're looking for tips and strategies to help with your learning, you are in the right place. Supporting sentences. What are they and how do we use them? Well, you'll recall that in academic paragraphs, whether that's a standalone paragraph or a paragraph within an essay, book report, speech, and so on, your paragraph has a topic sentence. And the topic sentence acts as a bit of an umbrella to help the reader know what's coming within the paragraph. While your supporting sentences are all of your supports, all of the information you're going to provide that supports the topic sentence. And if your supporting sentences are all about the topic sentence, then your paragraph will have unity and coherence, and that's important. So sometimes when students are writing supporting sentences, they'll have their topic sentence, and then their supporting sentence will be the reasons for pollution are A, B, C, and D, maybe. And that's it. They give a list. And then they might put a concluding sentence, and that's the end of the paragraph. So you have a 3 or 4 sentence paragraph, very meager, and almost no information, no development, and that's not acceptable. That's not adequate in most cases. So what do you do? How do you create enough supporting sentences that your paragraph has substance, that it has volume? Well, there are a few ways. One is you can use quotations. So if you've read other material or you've interviewed someone, an expert in the field, you can use quotations to help flesh out your paragraph and explain the topic sentence and the points that you want. You don't want to just list the points. You want to expand upon each one. Now you can give a list. It can even be in the topic sentence. You can have 2 or 3 points in your topic sentence that will be discussed throughout the paragraph. But then you need to extract each one and define it, explain it, develop it, do something with it within the paragraph to help the reader. And this also helps you. It gives you a purpose for writing and a bit of a roadmap for writing. So it's good to have your points. If you do your brainstorming, you remember I talked about brainstorming, you have your points in rough form and you pick the ones that are the best that fit into this particular paragraph. And then you develop it. You can use quotations. You can use statistics. That's another way of expanding. Particularly if it's a research document, you can use a statistic to support the topic sentence, to support your point. And a statistic can give weight, authority to your paragraph or to your argument. So that's a good idea. You can also even if you're not using other resources, so you're not necessarily using quotations or statistics, you can develop your point by explaining how does it work, how does it fit in with other parts of your argument, and of course how does it support the topic sentence. If you're writing an essay, how do all of these things support the thesis? Everything is looking back to the thesis, which is kind of like the granddaddy of a topic sentence because it is for the whole essay. So well, how do you say, yeah, but I don't have anything to say. What do I say about that? Well, there are a couple of things you can do. One is imagine or even talk to a friend. Imagine you're explaining this to a friend. Most of the time when I ask students to explain, so they've written a sentence, maybe it's their topic sentence for the paragraph, maybe it's the second sentence, and they only have a 3 or 4 sentence paragraph and they think it's finished. And I ask them, well, explain to me this point and explain to me this point, taking the points out of that little list that they gave me. And they talk to me for 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes on and on and on explaining. I say, well, there's your volume. Now you can't simply write everything down that you said, even if you recorded it. You don't want to just copy it verbatim because we speak informally and there'll be a lot of sentences and words in there that we wouldn't want in a formal written piece. But you can take that information, the things that you just told to me or the things that you imagine telling to your friend, or even if you've recorded your voice, which is fine, you can make a recording talking about the subject and then listen to the recording and pick out the good details, transform them into more academic formal writing, and that will flesh out your paragraph. That will give you a lot more volume and quality volume. We don't want to just keep repeating, and that's often what happens is you get a list, and then that list sort of repeats in different forms, but it doesn't say anything. It doesn't expand. It doesn't explain how does this work. So if you were writing something about dogs are the best pets, and one of your points is loyalty. Explain what is loyalty, and and how does a dog show loyalty? Because people think of loyalty of other people. They might not know, or they might not connect the dots that a dog can also show loyalty. But of course, it's going to be in a different way. So you can explain that, and that will give you more context and more volume and more interest in your paper. So there are lots of things you can do that will not only expand what you're able to say, but give it more depth, give it more quality. And that's always what we want. We don't want to just write sentences to write sentences. Sometimes students are worried about word count, and they just putting in as many words as they can to reach that word count that they have to meet. No, you don't want just any words or any sentences. You want to make sure that they connect. And that's one way of doing. These are several ways that you can do that. And you're always with an eye to how does it connect to the topic sentence, and then how do they connect to one another within the paragraph. Now, if it's an essay or a book report, you'll have many paragraphs, but each paragraph is a unit within itself. So you want to look at your topic sentence and make sure all the supports are actually supporting it and actually describing it, defining it, explaining it, developing it. So you're creating this picture for the reader, and it's also for yourself. The other point is a lot of students think, well, I shouldn't write this down because everybody knows it. Or even more, a comment I hear even more is, I don't need to write that down, or I shouldn't write that down because the teacher already knows. The teacher's already read Romeo and Juliet or Macbeth or whatever. Yes, of course the teacher already knows some of this information, but that has nothing to do with your paper, really. Your paper needs to be able to stand by itself. Almost anyone should be able to read it, even if they haven't read the novel, the play, or they're not familiar with a particular science topic. They should be able to read your standalone paragraph or your essay or your book report or your speech, and they should be able to extract something from it. They should be able to gain knowledge and information from what you've written. So the reason you need to explain, and the reason you need to sometimes say things that, yes, the teacher already knows, and maybe even a lot of people already know, is that you're connecting all the dots in a different way. You're showing us how all of these pieces go together. And some people will be very familiar with that, and that's fine. But you want to make sure that your paper says everything that it needs to say to produce that final result. So I hope that this has been helpful for students who are often sitting looking at a blank computer screen or a blank piece of paper. Don't forget to check out some of my other videos about brainstorming and about topic sentences and paragraph writing, all of the different writing videos and blogs. You can read them and check them out for free on YouTube and on my website. Because if you start putting all of those pieces together, the writing task becomes easier. Does it become easy? No, probably not, but it becomes easier, and it can be enjoyable once you get started, once you get that flow going and you start thinking of more and more ideas, which often happens as you're writing. And you can always, at the end, I should mention, proofread and edit your work. You should actually always proofread and edit. So don't worry if a certain amount of trash sort of gets in there. You can always extract it near the end. But better to get something down, and then you have material to work with. And that's really why you should do the brainstorming, because then you can weed out some of that and pick the better points. But even afterwards, once you've developed it and written it all down, you might go through and say, this is a little repetitive, or this point doesn't really support. And so you can either change it or take it out, because now you have enough material that you can afford to lose a sentence or two, and it won't affect your overall paper. All right, that's a little bit about supporting sentences. There is a blog I wrote. I'll put the link below, and that's about supporting sentences for this week. And but Now I'm stumbling. As I say, check out some of the other videos and blogs as well. Of course, don't forget to like the video if you do. I hope you do. Give it a thumbs up. Uh, Subscribe to the channel because that will really help the algorithm for L.T.L Tutoring Central. It'll move us up in the standings. It will help us to reach more learners, more students, and more writers. And also, if you click on the notification bell, that will notify you when new videos are being posted. All right, it's Ron Johnson from L.T.L Tutoring Central. Keep learning and keep having fun, and don't be afraid to write and practice using supporting sentences that support your topic sentence.